about all the things, and like I said, it's a brand new speech, and if any part is not resonating or it's boring, please just raise your hand and let me know. So the things New York built, the Erie Canal, the Brooklyn Bridge. At the time they built the Brooklyn Bridge, they told Americans it can't be done. And Americans got it done. The Holland Tunnel, right? It was the first tunnel ever built to drive an automobile beneath the river anywhere on the planet, built right here in New York. The Empire State Building, they built it in a little over a year during the Great Depression. The Twin Towers, right? They built these huge, beautiful buildings on the skyline. The monsters destroyed it. And we didn't stop. We didn't roll over. We built a new tower, record time, 1,776 feet to match 1776. I don't know if anyone knows that little caveat, right? And again, we are a city and a state of people that build. The fights changed, right? The fights originally used to be wars with gunshots. In our country, we had two civil wars. The original Civil War was during the 1860s over slavery. Most Americans ever in history died, right? The next Civil War was done without a gunshot. It was during the 60s and 70s, and was during Martin Luther King led this civil revolution without killing a single person. And it corrected an injustice that was going on. There were people that used the system to hold down other people. And America is about building, 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 not destroying. We don't destroy anybody, we continue to build. This, right now, Civil War is the same type of civil war that we witnessed under Dr. Martin Luther King. It's a civil war against builders and destroyers. They want to ration the pie. They don't want to grow the pie. And as a lawyer, I'm going to tell you, part of the problem I find with a lot of lawyers have no vision. They're very bland people. Every time I go into a case, the solution is money. There's $10 million, my client gets $6 million, your client gets $4 million, and it can be at the macro, micro level. We don't have an ability to grow that pie as lawyers. We just don't have that ingenuity. What we need in America are people like Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, these Donald Trump, these people who build and grow pies on their own. They don't need anything. So, let's talk about the Democratic Socialists, right? The Democratic Socialists haven't built anything. What they did is they hijacked the Democratic Party, and they are now running it, right? Yeah. The traditional Democrats, union workers, working class people are now just second stage. It is a full-on communist movement. The Alexander Hamilton system, the American system, was very simple. You keep what you build. Socialism is the exact opposite. It promises that you build it and the state will run it. They want to take control of every single aspect of your life, right? The old Brooklyn Democrats who believed in work, family, steady paycheck are being shown the door by activists who have never lived in New York City. Right. They don't want people answering to the neighborhood. You have to answer to the organization. You have to toe the Democratic Socialist line or you're out. It doesn't matter. There are a lot of issues that should be nonpartisan. Safety in a neighborhood, to me, is a very simple issue. It shouldn't be if you're Democrat, Socialist, Democrat, or Republican. It should be everyone should be entitled to walk the streets of their neighborhood at 2 in the morning without fear. To them, that's a non-starter. They let the criminals out. That caused the fear, right? They want you living in fear. They use language to confuse everyone. And I think, frankly, it started with this whole pronoun issue. Yeah. The idea that an individual can select their own pronouns was the beginning of a long trend.
Because long before that.
Right. Listen, it could have, Pat, we've been around probably two times as long as I've been alive.
The language and limit it down to how many words you're allowed to use.
Right. But let's just talk about simple things like pronouns. Like a pronoun isn't something you choose, right? It's not. It's designated. It's man or he, she, right? Not he, hers, they, thems. A person can't be a plural. I was actually at a bar association meeting where somebody who was introduced as they, them, and throughout the speech, this is an attorney. He kept saying I, and I'm like, excuse me, shouldn't it be we? Like, what are we doing here, right? Right. And I was for pointing that out. I'm like, oh, are we gonna have, if you wanna be a they, them, let's be consistent, right? So, the Democrats have taken words like investment, spending has now become investment. Free hides the fact that it's taxpayer funded. A mob becomes mostly peaceful. Mother and father become gestating parent and non-gestating parent. A person who creates jobs becomes the problem. Like Ari was talking about, his son creates jobs. I'm not as many as Ari's son, but I employ 5, 6 people. This whole idea, and I have a terrible, I want to employ 1,000 people, right? I want to help as many people as I can get jobs. But when they move minimum wage, I'm going to be candid, right? I have people at $17 an hour, when they tell me they're going to make minimum wage $30 an hour, what's going to happen to a small business like mine is 3 people are going to lose their jobs and 1 person's going to get triple the work. That's going to be the net effect there. So we got to be very careful when we're trying to deal with builders and interrupt builders. People are free to make their own decisions. The socialists have taken very complex concepts and they've broken them down to simple binary choices: rich versus poor, working class versus billionaires. You know, Elon Musk just turned, I think it's 4,400 and something, 22 people into millionaires. After decades of hard work, everyone was rewarded. And that's been the history of builders in the US. Donald Trump has probably made more millionaires than 99% of the people who have ever lived in the history of the world, right? So when these builders bring everybody up with them, I don't necessarily know if I agree with trickle-down economics. I do agree with letting builders build, right? And when builders build, everyone gets rewarded.
Rising tide lifts all boats. How about that?
Right, the rising tide lifts all boats, right? So, I'm going to wrap this up again. I gave everyone a card when I came in. This is a group of people. They're on the internet. You can watch them. You just type in Google Promethean Action. It's very educational in reference to the entire American system. They'll give people a step-by-step explanation about why everything the founding fathers put together was meant to be. The idea that they get into a lot of stuff. I would ask everyone, just go visit Promethean Action. You'll enjoy it. If you don't like it, that's okay. I want everyone to come to my club meetings. We have the club meetings traditionally the last Thursday of every month. At the meetings, we have speakers. We are now going to be pivoting and trying. Is that okay, Eric? You guys are the 3rd Thursday, right?
Yes. Probably July and August we will have a break, but September we will be back.
So that's good to know. So for July and August, I heard you guys are having a break too. If anyone in this room is like me and doesn't know what a break is, my club is not having a break. We were going through July, we're going through August, and we will be having meetings straight through the summer. We welcome everybody, especially if you say you're part of the Tea Party, you say you're part of Harry's Club, it'll be a free entry. Don't worry about it. We actually are moving to be a little more careful about charging people for tickets, because people get the tickets, say they're coming, they never show up.
So it's consistently the last Thursday of the month.
It is. It's been consistent for 2026. A lot of it also depends. So how the Donald J. Trump Club was formed, it was a lot of Democrats who lost their jobs from the COVID mandate, and we went to the highest court in the state of New York, and our corrupt Court of Appeals, and under my opinion, I think I'm still allowed to have an opinion, they issued one of the worst decisions ever. They said you can have a post-hire condition of employment that eviscerates your due process rights. So everyone's worried about due process for illegal immigrants, due process for criminals. Right. Our teachers, firemen, sanitation, they got no due process. So it doesn't matter what you believe about vaccines. That was never the legal issue. The issue was, should these people be entitled to due process? Our law said it could. The Court of Appeals denied them. They all lost their jobs. And so we went ahead and started the DJT Club. Again, 4th of July, we're going to be at the pier, 69th Street, Bay Ridge, watching the boat parade. I was informed that we think the boat parade is supposed to start at 9:30. I was informed it may actually be starting at 1. So if the parade starts at 1, I apologize, and then whoever has to leave, I can leave. But we're going to be at that pier at 9:30 a.m. Our next meeting is the last Thursday of July. You are all welcome. I welcome any questions. Anyone wants to know anything, I'm happy to answer them.
Any questions from the audience? Just raise your hand, please.
Well, I know that this young lady, you had a question about how we got Democrats into the club, and I asked you to save the question for the end. Do you remember your exact question?
No, that's not what my question was.
So what was your question?
My question was, the members of your club that are Democrats, how are you speaking to them about how the socialists have overtaken their club? And what advice have you given them to do about that?
So, all right.
And how do they speak to other people?
I think like I had opened by saying it was the opening shots of the Civil War, and I think you witnessed it within the Democratic Party. We keep using the word socialism, and I think we need to be very careful. It's not socialism. They're straight up communist, and
They're not saying that, obviously.
they're not saying that. Clearly, they're not saying it. Their platform speaks to it. You can look at their
Trump
platform.
said it out loud,
Of
though.
course, yeah.
They have said it out loud. If you go back to their Twitters and their everything else, and also these are transplant people, right?
Yeah.
And there's the problem. Look, we can talk about the elephant in the room. The Republican Party's name is so damaged in the city of New York. We need to correct it. And I don't know how. I don't have all the solutions. I don't have the answers. The party's name is damaged. There's a lot of people who walk in that voting booth and they will not vote R for the simple reason that it's a Republican. And if we're not gonna lie to ourselves about that, you're kidding yourself. We need to bring the message and understand why our American system right here in New York City, Republican Party, is going to be remolded into a party that JFK Jr., JFK would have voted for, right? We need to rebrand this Republican Party to show that the Republican Party that exists in New York City is going to be a party of nonpartisan issues, that we just want to keep it local within the city of New York and help everyone here be a builder. Go ahead, Rob.
I'm just going to sort of ask you if you want to speak about it, or if that's too broad to go into in the time that you have. But if you maybe could mention just a little bit to everyone who doesn't know the initiative that you started with trying to reform the New York City Charter. I know that's a whole other conversation.
No. So in the beginning, I told everyone we started an initiative, Rob. We did. We suspended it, right? We're not.
Oh,
No. We and I apologize to Glenn about that. I texted him last night. The club just voted on that Thursday night. We felt the initiative would do nothing more than empower the communists.
Okay.
I mean, we had teams of people out there that were on salary, getting paid. We were out we had to get 50,000 signatures. We were a little under 14,000 with a month and a half to go. We were making, we were
a lot of people starting to talk about it and step up, so. Yeah.
But the Thursday, after the Tuesday elections, it's not socialist. These people are straight communists.
What points of the initiative of the charter reform was a sticking point to you when your organization had thought that it would help more towards the communist movement?
So I'm going to tell you, we had one where we felt the representative democracy size of city council should be tripled. We felt instead of having one city council member per every 250,000 people, we should have a city council member per every 50,000. We felt it would keep it more localized. So Joanne Ariola's chief of staff had called me and said that she felt that I was wrong. It was a bad idea, Jim. And I said, Phyllis, I disagree. So then I went out to Vicky Palladino's club and I was talking, and Vicky Palladino, in a much more blunt fashion, said, Jim, you're wrong. It's not going to work out that way. And I said, no, you're wrong. I disagree. I think you would take a seat like your seat, Ina's seat, and would have 3 Republicans instead of having 1 Republican, right?
Same with Democrats.
Right.
It'll be 3 Democrats instead of 1.
I know, but it would still increase the amount. We'd have to, if that was what would happen, after Tuesday's results, when the club took a vote on Thursday, we were not convinced that's what would happen. I felt that we'd have still maybe 1 Republican and then 2 more Democrats. That's what would have happened. And we took that vote.
How about if we eliminate that city council snake pit entirely?
Oh, maybe we can appoint a king.
No, just a real.
But how do you expect to have, you have to have a legislative body.
You need an exorcism to the people. How about that?
What are you going to have?
The mayor's
An
office
executive branch?
is a dictatorship as it is.
But you let it happen
They
that
have a bunch of sheep
People
voting Broadway.
But you let it happen that way.
Everything he says.
But you guys let it happen that way.
The voters-
We the people, right? It's not. I'm not pointing out you, Pat. We let that. Look, during COVID, if that didn't wake you up about executive branch power, nothing will, right?
Right.
They And literally, it doesn't matter whether it was right or wrong. It doesn't matter if that vaccine could let you live 1,000 years. The issue is the executive branch cannot direct you what to put in your body. My body, my choice. They've been murdering children for 60 years under that premise. My body, my choice.
Yep.
Except when vaccines came. No longer your body, your choice. It became government's body, government's choice.
Absolutely.
Right? We don't live, like, the mayor doesn't have that power. The governor, the president of the US doesn't have that power. And when we all rolled over and said, yeah, you're right, just force that shot into me, that was a bad moment in US history. And I think in 250 years, people are gonna look back and recognize people surrendered their religious rights, right? People surrendered, like, so much to the trust the government, trust the science, might have been the cheapest, dirtiest slogan I've ever heard in my life. Trust the science. For the first 10,000 years of science, they thought the earth was flat, right? Like, don't trust scientists. That's the last people you should trust. And scientists will tell you that. Don't trust us. We're searching for the truth. We don't have the truth, right?
Right.
Everything's happening.
Absolutely.
Anybody else?
Well, I just had a quick follow-up. I don't want to monopolize,
Yeah.
and I can always take it offline. Because there were certain aspects of that charter reform that, like calling for mandatory debates, which a lot of them ducked out, and calling for a recall. Those two main things, I'm surprised like you didn't narrow that just to do a
No,
recall.
I'm going to tell you.
Should be all right.
You're right. There were some of them that the mandatory debates, mandatory recall. I agree with you wholeheartedly. There was two problems. The way the first 14,000 signatures were obtained was already for all 10. For us to recreate the petitioning process, now go out and recapture signatures, with time crunch. We had to get them by August 24th is number one. Number two is the club's funds aren't unlimited, right? The club's already throwing a lot of good money after bad. It's not going to go on forever. We have to manage our resources properly, and we felt our resources could be better managed. Growing our club, and anyone who in this room who doesn't like the name Donald Trump, and I know some people may harbor that feeling, right? Because I get that all the time. Why did you guys name the club after the president? I get it. If you don't like my club, go to Ari's club. If you don't like Ari's club, go to Michelle Harris's club. If you don't like Michelle's club, go to Andy Austin's club. I mean, there's no excuse not to be involved under a civic engagement process right now. If you don't like any of those Republican clubs, go to Glenn's Tea Party Club, right? There's a million,
I mean, we're not serving tea.
but there's a million different, like, people just, you give them an excuse not to be civically engaged and they run with it immediately. What I'm asking everyone in this room is stop letting them run with these excuses. Yeah?
No, it's so true. During COVID, people got, it was horrible because they, like you said, I was using the same line too. My body, my choice, my healthcare decision. Okay. Well, what about my body, my choice during COVID? That didn't matter to them. And people just get led to the slaughter, so to speak. I had my doctor say, "Are you taking the shot?" I said, "No, you have a note for my exemption." "Oh no, I'm afraid of, what they go, you're afraid what the AMA is going to do to you?" Because I already knew that something didn't smell right in the state of Denmark because of the fact that they said, take it or lose your job.
Right.
You don't love grandma? You don't love grandma? Take the shot. All right, I got the shot. Oh my God, I got the shot. Grandma got COVID from me. How did that happen? I always use this fun little line. I had as we all probably did, the polio vaccine, right? We all had the polio vaccine for the most part, I would assume so. I didn't start breaking out in FDR speeches. Getting a little bit of polio. Yesterday, December 7th, 1941, a date that will live in infamy. No, I didn't start doing that. I didn't get a little bit of polio, right? So I have no idea in God's green earth what the heck that is. A vaccine's supposed to be, you're prevented from getting it. So how do we get it? Why are we still getting it? What was that about? And it's still on emergency use, if I understand correctly, by the FDA.
I think I agree with you, everything you said 100%. I think the bigger picture here is nobody is against vaccines.
Right.
I want everyone to get all the vaccines you want. What I don't want is the executive branch telling me. I feel anyone who who wants to be vaccinated, go get vaccinated. That is your choice. You're allowed to enjoy the benefits of the vaccine. May I enjoy the benefits of prayer to the Lord Jesus Christ, right?